Hello there, thanks a lot for coming by. PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard, and wow, what a magnificent hand-painted concert sign, if you will, for the Doors in 1968. Wow, right? Day-glow paints on thick parchment paper. Just a total, psychedelic 60s concert poster with very readable lettering, as opposed to the more obscure psychedelic lettering you often saw. Now, there's not a story or a line of provenance behind this poster. It was found in a musician's stash of a couple of hundred music and concert posters decades ago. But, to those who have examined it, including myself, artisans and people who know posters and so forth, it's got the perfect feel and hits all the right marks to be a vintage one-off concert poster created to sell tickets before the event. Everything just sort of falls into place with this one. Its dimensions, 32 inches tall, wow, and 15 inches wide, and it is comprised of two pieces of that parchment paper or wallpaper of the same size. The top portion ends after the Doors' artistic rendition there of the musicians, and then there's overlap that goes behind the bottom portion of the poster. And you've got your day-glow colors here, look at that, green and red, orange and yellow, and then you throw in the black along with the color of the parchment paper, and you've got a whopping 6 colors on this poster. It just really has a beautiful, beautiful impact in person. So let's go ahead and take a closer look now, piece by piece, starting with the top. Well, you've got the Doors on there, of course, with that very familiar logo, and then the artistic rendering of left to right, Jim Morrison, John Densmore, Ray Manzarek, and Robbie Krieger. By the way, the poster artist is credited at the bottom. It says Bob Estes, copyright 1968. Then the middle portion of the poster, as you can see there, adorned by flowers, it does say First Boston Concert, The Doors, America's #1 pop group. Well, as for that latter claim, the Doors had one top 10 hit so far at this point. The Beach Boys had 13. But, if you're talking about the new modern acid rock or something, well, the Jefferson Airplane had 2 top 10 pop hits, as had the Byrds. But, we don't nitpick just based on the charts. What the Doors did have was tremendous momentum. They were really rising at this point. And as for the first Boston concert, well, that's sort of true, but they had played 2 Boston suburbs the year before, in 1967. They had played Brighton the previous August at the Crosstown Bus Club, and Nantasket Beach the previous October at the Surf Club. So it's a bit of splitting hairs. Sort of reminds me of a U2 video that I blogged, early 80s concert posters. They debuted in Reseda, California, then played Santa Monica, and then their third stop in town was the LA Sports Arena, which a lot of books call the band's first LA show. But anybody who's lived in Los Angeles knows that both Reseda and Santa Monica very much were LA gigs. They were just, small, incorporated cities of their own on the outskirts, and it all ran together. But, so, half correct, half stretching it to call this their first Boston concert. As for the bottom third of the poster, as you can see, it says Sunday, March 17th, 4 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. Well, the Doors were 2 hours late for that first show, which I'll get to more in just a minute. Back Bay Theater, 209 Massachusetts Avenue, Boston, Massachusetts. Tickets, $3, $4, and $5. Prices given amongst more nice flowers there. And I won't read it all, but it does say available, Back Bay Theater box office, Hub, Tyson, and out-of-town agency in Cambridge. And then they give you some mail order information along with a phone number. So, you gotta kind of wonder, why was a hand-painted poster done for this show and not a regular printed poster? Heck, even look at the night before in Rochester, New York. In fact, I have a photographic representation of it. Take a look at that. The very night before, that was a regular printed concert poster, again for Rochester, New York. So here we are in Boston with this hand-painted sign, and of course over half a century later it's quite hard to figure out, if not impossible to say why. Now, one has never turned up a printed poster for this Boston show, So, perhaps the promoter, just didn't have their act together. That sometimes happens. Or maybe they were confident, they felt no need because the Doors were a really hot band and they had had a #1 hit single. But, even if a printed Boston poster for this show does turn up, that does not delegitimize this one, does it? I mean, this could have been done for a clothing boutique or a head shop or a record store. It's got all the right information on it and everything, so I don't know. Maybe, obviously, if a printed one does turn up, I will definitely blog it. That's just, the fun of collecting anything old, right? You just have to have some unanswered questions, and that's just part of the kick you get. Just some things cannot be looked up or researched. Okay, so as for the two shows themselves, well, too bad it doesn't say it here on this poster, that Linda Ronstadt and the Stone Ponies, coming off their medium hit, Different Drum, were on the bill. So that's pretty cool. They were in Rochester as well. But, due to fog in Rochester, both Ronstadt and the Doors were a couple of hours late in arriving. So to fill some time, the local promoters quickly got a couple of local acts to perform, Organ Factory and Turtles Cry. And they showed a couple of Doors films to help fill time, the Elektra promo clip for Break On Through, and the recently completed The Unknown Soldier. And the crowd reacted quite well. I mean, they didn't like having to kill 2 hours, but they really liked those films. And in fact, then one of the promoters, or an MC or something, walked through the crowd with a live microphone, eliciting responses to the films, especially The Unknown Soldier. So it was fill time, that's absolutely for sure. So when Morrison and the band finally did get there, they were pretty annoyed, and by all accounts, the opening show was just, pretty lackluster, just not that special. In fact, Morrison even performed part of Light My Fire in a faux Boston accent. So, you hear that today and you go, ugh. But, the lucky ticket holders for the late show got a strong performance, sometimes even superb. Morrison worked in an early snippet or segment of 5 to 1 into the song Backdoor Man, and then during the end, he came off with some rare and obscure poetry that you don't usually hear elsewhere, so that was a treat for the late show goers. Oh boy, wow, what a gig. By the way, I'd like to thank Greg Shaw's excellent Doors book, The Doors on the Road, for some of this nice background information. Thanks a lot for stopping by, a pleasure to show you, and hope to see you again for something fun soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.